everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 8 math. Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 8 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 8 and then click on view all lessons. So there you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the lesson that is combinations and permutation notations, then probability of independent and dependent events, and then we have to identify independent and dependent events. So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. Let's just start with the first lesson, that is combinations and permutations, right? So let's just start with the lesson. Okay, here it is, that is combinations and permutation notations, right? So let's just start with the questions. Okay, you have to calculate permutations, right? 5 you have to calculate. So whenever you have to calculate permutations, you have to do n. For example, you have npr, you have n minus r factorial, right? So you have 5 is n and 2 is r, so that is 5 factorial divided by 5 minus 2 factorial, right? So that is 5 factorial divided by 3 factorial. So you can write 5 factorial as 5 times 4 times 3 factorial and divided by 3 factorial. This 3 factorial and 3 factorial cancel out. You are left with times 4, that is 20. So the correct option is 20. Whenever you have to calculate the permutations, NPR it is, and you have to do n factorial divided by n minus r factorial, that is 20. The correct one is 20. Got it? Now you have to calculate the combinations 3C2, right? So when you have to calculate the combinations, that is NCR, and you have to do n factorial divided by r factorial and n minus r factorial, that is the combinations. You can do n factorial divided by r factorial and n minus r factorial. So you have to do 3C2, you can do 3 factorial divided by 2 factorial, 3 minus 2 factorial, right? You can write this 3 factorial as 3 times 2 factorial divided by 2 factorial, and 3 minus 2 is 1 factorial. 2 factorial cancel out, and 1 factorial is 1, so that is 3. Correct option is 3. So 3C2 is 3. Got it? C is for combinations and P is for the permutations, right? Okay, the next one is you have to evaluate the permutations. You have to do 7P2. So how do you evaluate? So you have to do 7 factorial and 7 minus 2 factorial, right? So 7 factorial, 7 times 6 times 5 factorial, and 7 minus 2 is 5 factorial. 5 factorial cancel out, and you are left with 7 times 6, and 7 times 6 is 42. The correct option is 42 it is, right? 7 times 6 is 42. So the correct option is 42. Got it? Okay, the next one is, okay, the next one is 4C2. You have to evaluate combinations, right? You have to do 4C2. So when you have to evaluate the combinations, you have to do 4 factorial divided by 2 factorial and 4 minus 2 factorial, right? So that is 4 times 3 times 2 factorial divided by 2 factorial and 2 times 1, right? You can write 2 factorial as 2 factorial, 2 factorial cancel out. You are left with 4 times 3 is 12 and 2 times 1 is 2. So 12 divided by 2 is, the correct option is 6. So 4C2 equals 6. The correct option is 6. Got it? The next one is 4C3. So which is the correct option? You have to do 4 factorial divided by 3 factorial and 4 minus 3 factorial. So that is 4 times 3 factorial. This is 3 factorial and 4 minus 3 is 1 factorial. 3 factorial cancel out. 1 factorial is 1. So the correct option is 4. The correct option is 4. Got it? The correct option is 4. Okay, the next one is 6p2. So which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is, that is 30. The correct option is 30. Okay, the next one is 5p2. So which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is 20. The correct option is 20. Got it? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to the next lesson. And the next lesson is, probability of dependent and independent events, right? Okay, let's just start with an example. You spin the spinner twice. What is the probability of purple and green, right? So you have two events here, purple and green. First, you have to see if the events are dependent or independent, right? So they both the events are independent. Whenever you are working on the spinners, the events are independent, right? So you have to evaluate the probability of the purple. Here is the probability of the purple. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 portions that are purple, so that is 4 over 9. Then the probability of green is 1, 2, 3, that is 3 over 9. So when you have to evaluate the probability of two events, you have to just multiply them, right? You can see here. You have to 4 over 9 times 3 over 9, that is 12 over 81. You can convert the answer in the simplest form by dividing it by the 3, so that is 4 over 27. Got it? Let's just start with the test questions. Okay, now you pick a card at random. Without putting the card back, you pick a second card at random. What is the probability of green and green, right? So you have now two events. First thing you need to see if they are dependent or independent. So without putting the first card back, that means they are the dependent events, right? The probability of green for the first time. You have one, two, three green colors, three green cards out of five, right? And the probability of green for the second card, because you put a card at random but you didn't, without putting the card back, for the second time you have four cards, right? For the second time you have four cards, and the probability of green is 2 over 4, right? That is 2 over 4, because you picked a green card, right? You are left with two green cards, and the total cards are 4 for the second event. So that they are the dependent events, you simply have to multiply the probability. That is 3 times 2 is 6, and 5 times 4 is 20. You have to write down the answer in percentage form. So 6 divided by 20 is 30%. It is simply divide 6 by 20 and multiply by 10, so that is 30%. So the probability of green and green is 30%. Got it? The correct option is 30%. The correct option is option number 1. Okay, the next one is you spin the spinner twice. What is the probability of 2 and the probability of odd? Okay, let's just see. So you have four portions. The first thing is probability of 2. Again, you are working on the spinners. So when you are working on the spinners, coins, the dice, the events are always the independent events, right? So probability of 2 is 1 out of 4. And the probability of odd is, you have two odd numbers, 1 and 3. That is 2 out of 4. So you need to calculate the probability of 2 and the probability of odd. So you simply have to multiply the probabilities, that is 1 by 4 and 2 by 4. So 2 times 1 is 2 and 2 times 4 is 8. So that is 1 over 4, and that is 12.5%. Just divide them and multiply by the 100. So that is 12.5%. Got it? Probability of 2 and odd is 12.5. Okay, for the next one, you have to evaluate. So, which is the correct option? You pick a card at random. Without putting the first card back, you pick a second marble at random. What is the probability of brown and blue? So, which is the correct option? So, they are the dependent events, right? The probability of brown is 3 out of 20, and sorry, 3 out of 5, and the probability of blue is 1 out of 4, right? So, which is the correct option? That is 3 out of 20. The correct option is option number 1. That is 3 out of 20 is the correct option. You roll a six-sided die two times. What is the probability of even and the probability less than 6? So, which is the correct option? The probability of even is 3 out of 6, right? And then the probability of less than 5 is you have 5 numbers that are less than 5, right? Probability of even is 3 out of 6, and the probability of less than 6 is 5 out of 6. So there the both the probability is 3 by 6 times 5 by 6, that is 15 over 36. So when you divide it by the 3, the correct option is, you can divide them by the common denominator 3. So the correct option is 5 over 12. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is 5 over 12. Got it? Okay, the next one is, you spin the spinner twice. What is the probability of orange and the probability of purple? So, which is the correct option? The probability of purple is 4 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And the probability of orange is 3 out of 11. So, which is the correct option? Yes, that is 12 divided by 11 times 11 is 21. So that is 12 over 121. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let's just move on to next lesson. Okay, the next lesson is identify independent and dependent events. So identifying dependent and independent events is very easy. Let's just start with the test questions, right? So if the outcome of the second event is affecting by the outcome of the first event, that means that is the dependent events, right? The first thing example is Relay picks a card at random without putting the card back. She picks a second card at random. Are these two events dependent or independent? So you are given three cards, right? You picked a card at random and then you didn't put the card back. So whenever you didn't put the card back for the second event, you have just two cards, right? So that means they are the dependent events, right? If the outcomes are not same for both the events, that means they are the dependent events. So for the first event you have three cards, but for the second event you have two cards, so that means they are the dependent events. The correct option is dependent. Got it? Lester and David need to schedule appointments with the same doctor. Lester calls in the morning and picks one of the open appointment time. In the afternoon, David calls to schedule one of the remaining appointment times. Are these two events dependent or independent? So, which is the correct option? They are the dependent events, right? Because Lester called first time, right? He have more options. And then David calls later. So David have one less option because one of the option is picked by the Lester. So they are the dependent events. The correct option is dependent events. It is right. Okay, the next one is Pamela asks a classmate to be her partner for a class project and he agrees to work with her. Next, her friend Regan picks a partner too. Are these two events dependent or independent? So, which is the correct option? The correct option is they are the dependent events, right? Kindi pick a card at random, put it back, and then picks another card at random. Are these two events dependent or independent? They are the Yes, they are the independent events. The correct option is independent, right? Colin and Yoshi go to the library to check out books for a book report. Are these two events dependent or independent? They are the independent events, right? The correct option is independent. Yes, and sorry, I selected the wrong option. They are the independent events. The next one is student in a composition class may select certain topics on each to which write an essay. Repeats are allowed and they do not need to inform the teacher of their choice prior to the due date of the essay, right? So because the repetitions are allowed, that means they are the dependent events. They are the independent events because repetitions are allowed. If the repetitions are not allowed, they are the dependent events because repetitions are allowed, so they are the dependent events. Aaron pick a marble at random, put it back, then pick another marble at random. Are these two events dependent or independent? Because you put the marble back, right? So that means they are the independent events, right? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So we were working on grade 5 math. We are working on the chapter probability and the lessons we have covered today are combination and permutation notations, probability of independent and dependent events, and the one we have just finished is identify independent and dependent events, right? So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we did today. That is your homework until next session, right? So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday, 5 to 9. Or either you can join me in the interactive session that is daily from 4 to 5 and from 9 to 10, right? Okay, that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye everyone.